Hi, my name is Cheri and you're in my studio, and today we are going to do a card with the free as the bird. So this is my station, Cheri's Cards. You can find me on Pinterest and Facebook and Instagram, all under Cheri's Cards. If you are looking for my website, it's stampinonline.com, because I had a website way before there was social media of other forms. And on my website, you can find my online classes. So if you like the cards that I make on YouTube, my online classes are in video form, and I send you the stuff. Like if you were going to do this card with me, then you would get this stuff in the mail, and then you would follow along in the video. This isn't one of my online classes, but that's kind of how they work. So I've just started my summer series of classes, so you can head to my website, and I'll put the link in the description below, and you can sign up for those. The online classes are free. You just have to have the material, the stamps to make them, and then I send you the supplies to follow along. So today I'm going to use the Free as a Bird stamp set. It's part of the Bird Ballad Suite. It is so much fun. And you may have already seen this. This was one of the sneak peeks that I did earlier. And when I did this card, it was for my downline, my demonstrators in my group. And there were a bunch of us. And so we used this piece of paper, and we actually used it on 2 cards, that one design of paper. So we used it all up. And I wanted to kind of recreate the same card because I love the card, but I didn't have any more of this paper for the girls that were coming to my camp. So that's the card I'm going to do today, and I'll kind of show you how I switched it up. So it's overall the same-ish card, but I had to switch it up a little bit because I wasn't using the same paper. And I also had some new color of blends to work with. My favorite color is now in a blend. So let me show you a couple of other cards that I have since gotten since then. And they all use, it's funny, because I was tempted to use the big bird, not as in Sesame Street, but the largest bird in the set. And I should have, because now all of these cards that I have all use the same little set of birds on the thing. This one is made by my friend Tanya. I really like how she chose to stamp in Sahara sand. It gives the overall card a lighter look. If you had the paper pumpkin that was Hugs from Shelley, it kind of goes with that feel, because hers went with this. And then these are 2 that I got as a swap from girls when I went to a leadership event in Terre Haute with Stampin' Up. So those are those. So it's a fun little set. It could be Mother's Day, shower, baby cards. There's a lot of things you can do with it. So here's how I switched it up, and I will show you this card again at the end to just show you what I did with it. This has the little trinket and the paper that are all part of the suite. But like I said, I had used a lot of that up before. So let's stamp our birds first, because those need to, I think I have paper laying here that doesn't go with this card. When I cut the paper for camp, I cut a stack so I could do the cards that go with this, but that paper does not go with this card. So this is just Memento Black, which is what you want to use if you're using a black ink and going to color with the blends. And it's rained a lot here in Indy, so it's humid. So I'm going to stamp this first just to give my memento a minute to dry while I do some other, I'll work then with the background. And this is Shimmer White cardstock, which is my favorite cardstock if you watch my channel very often. I've been cleaning stamps from camp, so I have a little bit of ink already on me first thing in the morning, and I'm already inky. So it's cute as can be. You could color this a black and white, and it would be a really pretty stamp. So there we go. And I'm going to put a little bit of black on the inside for camp. I had them also cut. I'm not going to cut for the inside of this card. I'll just stamp. So then these are the little pieces that come with it. I'm going to put the saying on the inside, and this says, "The world needs more of you." So it's a nice little friendship card. Just stamp that on the inside. That's all of the black that I need. And then I'm going to use Pear Pizzazz. It's not a color that I use a lot. I always think that it's Wild Wasabi, which we don't have anymore. It's a very similar color. I think Wild Wasabi was a little brighter, and this is a little dustier. And this is like a little dogwood flower. And then a little dogwood bud. I think they're dogwoods. You could color them to be something else, but we'll go for that. So there's the inside. On the card that I made, and I'll show you at the end, we actually used a die cut to go in there, but to save a little bit of time for this, I'm just not going to do that. So I'm just going to fill the background, make our own paper. And you want to make sure that you go all the way out to the edge, because if you try to keep everything in, and I always start with it out and work in, but if you just stamp in, then when you put all your stuff on, you're not going to see anything. And a lot of this is going to get covered up because I'm putting paper on it. So start with your largest image first. And then I'm going to go back and take the little bud and kind of fill in some of these areas. And again, you're going to lose a lot of it, but it's fast. So it's just faster to do it all, and then what gets covered up gets covered up. That is my cat. If you can hear that noise when I get orders from Stampin' Up, his favorite thing is the bubbles, the packing bubbles that come in it. And he loves to play with packing bubbles. So that's him right now killing the bubbles. As soon as the UPS man comes, he has to come and see if it's a Stampin' Up box. They must have like a special smell that he can smell. So he knows, and then I take the bubbles out and I sit in my office until every last bubble in it is popped, and then he's done. So it's like his duty. It's his contribution to the stamping world is to pop all of the bubbles. So now I'm going to run these through the Big Shot. Part of the Bird Ballad Suite are the stitched nesting dies. I think that's what they're called. Oh well, and I didn't get those. Hang on while I get them off my thing from camp. Now he thinks I'm going to play bubbles with him. But you will love, love, love these dies if you haven't worked with them. They come in a bunch of sizes, and that's what we used on the inside because we cut a little one. So you don't run them through together, but they are graduated, so the sizes kind of match. The best part about them is it just takes one pass through the Big Shot or whatever die cutting system that you're using. I cannot wait till Stampin' Up! Has our new one, but for right now, we're still using whatever you have. Because we don't have one yet. It's in the pipeline. But the dies are so nice and sharp that it just takes one pass through. And the other thing is if you have some of our other stitched things, you know, they used to stick in there. And like, you'd have to poke it out because this would be stuck in the paper. These just pop right out. So you can see on this one, I'm using this piece, but the outsides are stitched too. So you can take the bigger one now, like I could take this one if my piece of paper was bigger, and you can line this up and then make a frame. But I'm not doing that for this card. But that's what they're designed to do that if you choose to. Then this is a piece of Calypso Coral. So none of these are in colors that I'm using on this card because I've got Pear Pizzazz and Calypso Coral. Those might be some colors that you haven't used for a while, if you're like me. And it's partly, they're not colors that I don't not like, but you know, we were in the fall and then Christmas and then winter. They're more spring and summer colors to me. Well, not so much Calypso. It does make a reappearance in the fall, but it's not really winter color. So again, see here, you can see the stitched on that, but we need this piece here. And see how nice and easy they just pop right out of there? It's not like some of the other stitched ones we've had in the past where you really have to fight to get those out of there because they come right out. So now we just need to color. I'm going to pull my scrap piece back over here because the blends do bleed through. And then when I colored this, the secret really was less is more. And it gives a really pretty look. So I'll tell you the colors that I'm using. This is Light Crumb Cake. And so what I did was I just put kind of where the little highlights were on the branch. And then just ever so slightly add a little bit of touches of crumb cake. Because I want it to keep the light and airy feel to it. I don't want to have it be colored. And then I've got the Dark and Light Mango. So this is the light, and I just do a tiny swirl of color because these little dogwoods on here are teensy tiny. So just add a little bit of light swirl. And then again with the dark, this is even going to be teensier, and I'm going to go kind of like right for the middle and just one little swirl through, just like that. And then I have my light flirty flamingo, and when you mix it with this, the girls at camp were saying, where's your orange? And I didn't use an orange, but it just kind of, it blended with these, and where it hits together, it appears there's a little bit of orange. But again, I want my flowers to be overall white. So I've just kind of kept my colors in the center, and I'll move that up when I'm done so you can see it. Then I have my Granny Apple Green Dark and Light, which is close enough in color, you can see, to the Pear Pizzazz that it works fine. So I'm going to start with my dark, and on these leaves again, I want there to be white left. So I'm going to do one stripe of the dark right in the middle of my leaves, just to give it some dimension, just like that. And then I'm going to take, oops, I forgot one here. Probably doesn't really matter. And take my light and just kind of blend it. But again, I'm going to make sure I leave some white. And you don't have to. This is just the feel that I was going for on this card. And you'll be able to see when I'm done kind of what I was going for. And it's partly because my birds are a light color and I didn't want the branch to overwhelm my birds. And then for the beaks, I could have used Calypso Coral or a color that kind of matched, but I didn't want them to have starkly orange beaks. So this is the Light Petal Pink. And it just gives a little touch of pink to their beaks. And then I just kind of barely traced their legs. And that was part of the reason that I went with a light color, because I wanted their legs to have some color. But I didn't want there to be orange on my lightly colored branch. Okay, and then this is Light Balmy Blue. And for it, anywhere there's these tiny little lines on my little bird, I'm just going to kind of go over it with a little bit of blue on their body, not on their heads, just on their body. And on his wings, just so his tummy has some blue. So I'll show you this before I add the gray and before I add any of the color lifter. So now this is, people often ask me, you know, what's your favorite color? And currently my favorite Stampin' Up! Color is Great Granite. I have a thing for neutrals. My favorite overall colors tend to be shades of orange and green, but I am just in love with Great Granite, because is it gray? Is it brown? I don't know. It's just a fun color to work with, and I think it adds a really fun touch to the things that you do work with. So here's the dark Great Granite, and this is a brand new color. So now with the dark gray, I'm going to go on the little lines as well. Now on his head, and a little bit like underneath, like the dividing line. You don't want a ton, because again, I don't want him to be dark. I'm keeping it an overall light card. Just enough so that he's going to have some definition. And then I'm going to take my light granite, just kind of now give him a little bit of color. This is a fun stamp set with the big bird and these little birds and the flowers. If you've not done a lot of practicing with your blends, it's a great one to kind of get a feel for. Just stamp a whole bunch of them on some Whisper White or on the shimmer if you have scraps of shimmer to just kind of play around with. You kind of see, and then I'm just kind of like adding a little bit and then pulling it back in. So at no point do I ever get too much on here. And then I'm going to take my color lifter. First I'm going to add just another, every time you add a layer of color to your blends, it gets a little darker. So now all of the places where I want it to be a little darker, just add one more little touch. So now their little pink beaks are just a tad pinker. And I'm going to do the same thing with my, I should have left it separate, with my crumb cake. Here on everywhere where I touched it before, and you can see now where I touch some of the places, it'll get just a tad darker. Get some of those stems. There's a little stem here. So I just went color on color with the lights, just so some of it would be darker as opposed to the dark and light, so it didn't stay. Now I'm going to take my color lifter, kind of smear this so he has color now into the center of him. So I didn't have to color the center, I'm just pulling what I have on the edges into the center. You don't want to get too close to the edge with your color lifter because then it'll bleed out. And then it'll look like you colored outside the lines. But now it looks like he's got really super light gray granite in the middle, just because this all bled inward. So it doesn't take long, and it's kept it light and airy and just a touch of color. And then I've got this fun paper that's part of the suite. It's got bird cages on one side, which I thought about using that because it's super cute too and it goes with my color theme, but I really like the feathers. So let's add these. And I believe that it's 5.5, cut 5.5, and I think that it's 2 inches, maybe like 2 1/4. So we've got that there, and then we have some new ribbon, and this is called, it's super fun, it's just Sahara Sand Woven Threads, and it's part of the Woven Threads collection. So if you still have fuse, you can use it. You can use your snail. The fuse holds it a little better, so I'm going to use fuse. Make sure you get your adhesive, whatever you're using, all the way to the end. Well, maybe I'm not going to use it because this one's gone. Yep, there's the red. I see one a little bit further away, but you can use this. The fuse, you know, is just a little bit thicker of an adhesive. It holds a little bit better. So just put your adhesive on there. And then you want to put your ribbon on and make sure it goes right up to the edge here. And right over to the other edge there. And then just give it a good press. And then turn this here. And then you can keep it like this if you like this look. So you've got this look. Or what we did, just take your scissors and grab this bottom thread here and just pull that. So then you can keep this if you want, and you can use that on something else because you have a nice little piece of thread there. And now you have a fringe. You can fluff it up if you want. Let's layer these together. Here. And then these are the flower faceted gems. I meant to look before I filmed to see if these are part of the suite. I don't think they are. But they're the colors of the paper, so they might be. There's so many new things that I've been working with, and I'm a suite mixer. I don't tend to keep things together in suites. I do when I do my online classes because you tend to buy things in a suite, so I give them to you that way. But it's got the saffron and the coral and the blue. So we're going to get one of the coral ones. Just add a little bit of a highlight here. Save that in there. So you can see lots of my flowers got covered up. So if you didn't stamp off the edges, you would lose a lot of what you spent time doing. But this way you can see it. And you can see I didn't really need to stamp in the middle, but it just helps me feel better to know it's there. So super cute. There's the inside. I love this fringe ribbon. It's one of my favorite ribbons that we've had. Here's the one I did before. So here's the inside, and all we did we just put that on a little one on the inside. And then here again is the one that we created the first time. So at this time it's the same overall, so I kind of copied myself, and I still kept the ribbon. This time, instead of using this embellishment because I was low on the flowers, I switched to a new one. So these don't come with this suite because these are the embellishments that come with the suite. This is the ribbon that comes with this suite, but I just switched it up. The birds could have gone on the smaller one the first time we used them, and I thought about not putting this little thing so you could see more of the feathers, but it kind of got lost because this paper is white. This paper was the petal pink, so it didn't get lost on the back of it. I was kind of sad that I had lost some of my feathers because I love the feather paper. You know, we have this beautiful paper and sometimes it gets covered up. But you can see this time I did the dogwood on the back. So feel free to copy yourself. If you ever do a card that you like or that you're out of the supplies for, just copy yourself. So if you're interested in joining me this summer for any of my online classes, you can sign up now for the June ones. If you are a demonstrator, we have some demonstrator events coming up. Our sign up has started for our September event, and we will be opening registration for if you're going to Lansing. For on stage, we are doing a non-card. It's going to be a super fun class before on stage at Lansing. So you can get information from those by going to my website as well. So everybody have a great day and happy stamping. Bye.